I'm Raya.
And I'm Brandon.
And you're watching
More Love with Heartbeat.
Okay. And today we just wanted to throw out a question and kind of talk about it from our point of view.
Yeah.
What's the question? I don't remember.
Should the household duties be a team effort?
Oh, yeah.
Should they?
That's what we wanted to talk about.
So, the reason why is because there are a lot of people, and let me be very clear. We've said this before. We get a lot of these questions that are posed in a lot of groups that we're a part of. I'm in a couple of married men groups. She's in a couple of women's groups, married women's groups. And some of these questions get tossed around. Some of the questions that we share get tossed around pretty often.
Yeah.
And the responses are jarring.
Yeah.
I just wanted to use the word jarring. I don't even know if it fits it.
It's probably not jarring, but it's a lot of opposing
it's very
points
different.
of view.
So I will say this. We think this question comes up because of tradition. Because a lot of us were raised by people who were raised in the 60s and 70s. And those people were raised by people in the 50s and 60s. And so in American household tradition, it was the husband who went to work and made the money and paid the bills. The wife stayed home and cleaned the house and cooked dinner and all that stuff. And things have kind of changed a little bit over the course of 50 years.
Yeah.
And so so my whole point is the fact that question is even coming up to me feels like it stems from that era, that tradition kind of being passed down to a lot of people and kind of being either continuing to pass down or cut off by some people like, yo, we're not doing that. And so, I don't know.
He said,
should it be a team effort? What you think?
Yeah. And so I want to start off by saying, first of all,
come on, somebody with a first of all.
Do what works for you.
I think that's clear. Yeah.
And I like holding up to tradition where the wife does everything in the home may not work for your marriage, because maybe the wife is a doctor and the husband works from home. He has his own business at home. Well, does it make sense for someone who stays at home not to do the home work?
Yeah, and I like to intergene once again. That's going to be my word. So I think that's a very good point, because in this era, what is something that we have that they didn't have back in the day? The internet. So there are a lot of men, there are a lot of people in general, but there are a lot of husbands who do work from home. Like their job is done on the internet. They can sell goods and services and all kinds of stuff on the internet, so they don't have to go to an office. And a lot of times the jobs that were real big back in the day were like manual labor jobs, like warehouse jobs and what's the other one?
Contractor?
No, construction! There it is! Construction jobs were like real big back in the day. And then when I say big, I mean popular. It was more widespread that most dudes had a construction job or the other job that I just said, which was a warehouse job or something like that. So it made sense where it's like, oh, we make enough to survive, and the wife stays home. I go to work and I lift boxes and bags and rocks. So I come home and it's like, yo, I don't want to do more physical stuff when I get home. Like, you've been home all day, you do that. Yeah. And I'm just saying, like, that's kind of the overarching mentality from the past. But now a man can go to work in his basement with an internet connection and do 8 hours and be home the whole time. And like she said, a wife could be like, well, I'm a doctor making like $180,000, $190,000. She might make more than the dude who got his own business. And so it's like, hey, you've been home all day.
Yeah.
I haven't. So what's good?
Yeah. And so I believe that you have to do what works for you. Look at the schedule and the timing and what you're good at and what you're bad at. Like, you may both go to work at the same time, come home at the same time, but you've married a man who loves to cook. Well,
Ooh.
if he loves it and you don't, and you both are working the same hours, shouldn't he do some stuff? Like, so I feel like, like Brandon said, times have changed. Women are not in the home as much as they used to be. Now, just really quick, I'll say, when we first got married, and especially when we started having babies, I decided, like, this was something that worked for me. It made sense for me to cook, for me to clean, for me to do the things in the house, because my husband had a very demanding job, stressful job, but he also loved to cook, and he had very specific tastes. So he would do a lot of the cooking. And so I feel like the do what works for you philosophy is extremely important. You have to have this discussion, and you can't have the looming tradition weighing you down, because it's going to cause a lot of friction and tension in your marriage.
Right. We would ultimately say, do what works for you.
Yeah.
And figure that out. And I think the biggest part of this isn't even just to do what works for you. It's be content when you find out what works for you.
Yeah.
Don't let nobody else try to come in and say, well, you know you should be cooking for him, or you know you should be taking the trash. Like, if my wife, like, yo, there's women out there that like to cut grass. Who am I to stop you from cutting grass if you like to cut grass? Like, figure out what works for you and boo what everybody else got to say.
Absolutely.
So, should household stuff be a team effort? As far as we're concerned, absolutely. So, we hope you like this video.
Yay!
If you did, give us a thumbs up.
Yay!
Let us know if you think that you should have traditional roles, or if y'all share the house stuff between each other.
Yay!
Thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe, and we'll see you later.
Bye.